What is a hero? A mythological figure, often of divine descent, endowed with great strength or ability? An illustrious warrior? No. It's a person admired for achievements and noble qualities, one who shows great courage. Welcome to the What's a Hero podcast, where we dive deep into what a hero is and what makes them that hero. I'm your host, Ken Frownfelter, and I'm going to be introducing you to some of the world's most likely and unlikely heroes. You may have never heard of them before, and they most likely have never met you. But they all have one thing in common. They are ready to do whatever it takes to help make you better, even if it means sacrificing everything for you. Let's get into it.
This is episode 80 of the What's a Hero podcast with me, Ken Frownfelter. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit hard as life. But it ain't how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hit and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. Now, some of you guys might remember that's a speech that Rocky gave in Rocky 6 or whatever. And he was talking to his son about that. He was obviously, his son was in kind of a victim mentality and didn't like how things were. And Rocky kind of just laid it out for him. But the thing that caught me was at the very last line, he said, "You're better than that, and that ain't you." You're better than that. And so I start looking back and I start thinking, where did I hear that before? Well, I've heard that, and because I've seen the movie long time ago, but that phrase kind of came up to me. You're better than that. Where did I get that idea? Where have I heard that before? And I heard that. I had a trainer years ago when I was in the police world. We call it FTEP, field training, or FTO. So when you go through that, you have a person in the car next to you, and they're training you on the job to go do the job. Well, I had a trainer at one point, and I had done something knuckleheaded, and he looks at me, he goes, "Come on, you're better than that," expecting that I can do better than what it is that I'm portraying at that moment. And in fact, I could do better than that. And the fact that somebody actually said to me, "Hey, you're better than that," makes a big difference. Now, my trainer has gone on to do a million different things in the world, and but he's still a cop, and he still does some stuff that is pretty interesting and pretty amazing. And I'm actually going to let him talk about it because I got him here today, and that's Mr. Doni. Doni, how you doing today?
I'm good, buddy. Thank you. Actually, that's so funny. I remember that.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. It was a cold night on 6th Street near 7-Eleven.
What did I do? Do you remember what I was doing?
Yeah, one of our known turds, got into your feelings and you got a little excited.
Yeah, because he had done something. I was getting emotional, or I was getting a little amped up, and the bottom line was that the pizza that I got out of it was, is this hill worth dying on? Is it worth planting my flag on? Is that juice worth the squeeze or whatever? And I mean, all those different analogies, but the bottom line was, hey, you're better than that.
It was the common, as you get into this police career, like the first thing they tell you is don't let these people get under your skin no matter what it is, whether it's somebody with the camera in your face, or in this case, Mr. Witten. It was like, after, I remember because there's when you go through your career, and as me, as at that point, and I'm an FTO, you get people in your car and you're like, this is not going to work. Like, you probably need to move on out of my car. Yeah. And I got to the point where, we had a sergeant, Gunderson, who was our FTEP coordinator. And I could talk freely to him, and I got to the point where like I can't take new people. You got to give me laterals. Yeah. So at that point, you were a lateral. I had Drew, I had Max, and then I had a couple other people, and it was like I can't take anybody but laterals. At least somebody. I need people in my car that can multitask, that have been through it and know. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Gunderson and I were kind of under that understanding. So everybody I was getting laterals, which was awesome. But it was like when I got you, I was like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna make it. And then that night, you were probably pretty close to moving on or getting cleared, and I was thinking, man, this kid, not you, but the other kid, he totally didn't know you. Yeah, he knew me. And I was like, he's getting Ken. Like, and that's when I just remember that. We had a couple other good times, funny times, but that one I remember. And like I said, when you go through this career, especially as an FTO, you see a lot of stuff, and there's definitely people worth engaging more so into than others that aren't going to make it, or you try and you coach them and you do what you can, but I just remember that like you do. I remember it. So let's go back quite a ways, because that was, man, we are looking at. Well, when did you get here?
2011. So we're looking,
I think I was
12 years ago.
I was a corporal then, so
right. And so let's go back even further. Who are you? Where did you come from? Where'd you grow up? What caused you to become the guy that you are now?
Well, I grew up in a couple different places, but I grew up in South Douglas County. I guess
Southern Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Riddle originally, I remember my childhood. I grew up in the outskirts of Roseburg, and then we followed my dad around in his job, and ended up moving to Riddle. And I went there from my 6th grade to my sophomore year. Mm-hmm. Going into my junior year that summer, my parents got a divorce. Mm. And after growing up in the outskirts of Roseburg, I still had connections and friends. And I remember when my mom told me that they were getting a divorce, I was like, let's move back. Like, I want to move back to Sutherland. Mm-hmm. So my mom and I and my sister,
which is north of where you were then.
Yeah.
And so just so anybody's listening, these areas are fairly rural.
Yeah.
It's not big
I actually
cities.
lived out in Umpqua.
Yeah. I mean, you're out in the.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I grew up on a farm, and, and then when we moved to Riddle, we had another farm. My family is a bunch of farmers out there in Umpqua. Mm-hmm. So I was used to living in, rural.
Yeah. And
parts.
so your growing up was bucking hay and doing things outside and having to work.
Oh yeah.
I mean, aside from, you get to obviously play sports and things like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was never taken away, but my parents instilled in me work ethic and, all the right things basically that, you carry on to your kids and that kind of stuff. But, I worked on an orchard with my best friend out in Umpqua every summer. It sucked, but we did it.
Yeah.
And, and you weren't expecting to get paid, but just being able to have fun working on the orchard, taking our guns out there and shooting anything that came across,
right?
And, as kids. So I ended up moving back, my mom and I, and she ended up getting a job for the city of Sutherland. She ended up retiring here a couple years ago as the city recorder, and she spent over 25 years there. But moved back, and I reconnected with everybody I had grown up with originally. And for me, I had played soccer since I can remember. And then when I went to Riddle and you got into high school, they didn't have soccer.
Soccer wasn't a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was bummed, and I played football, to stay busy and during the fall, and, I could play, but I didn't like football. It wasn't like my thing. Basketball and baseball and soccer were my thing. So I was pretty stoked when I got to move back to Sutherland and get back into soccer. And so went to Sutherland and I was loving it. You know, my mom and I were basically living on the lam and in Sutherland hanging out, and I was doing my thing in sports, and you know, I was still connected with my dad and not as close as I was with my mom. You know, after seeing what my mom went through in this divorce, and you know how my dad
wasn't the friendliest.
No, well, my dad cheated on my mom, so it was like, you know, he wasn't the enemy, but you know, as a kid, you're like, you caused this, you know, because when you grow up, you're always thinking like your parents are never going to get divorced, and like that shook me when my mom told me, and it had a lot of effect on me. But I looked at my mom as someone that could survive this stuff and hold it together and never made it an issue, and to this day, you know, my dad's passed away, but to this day, my mom is still like my hero for being able to raise me. And, you know, I wasn't like a difficult kid or anything, but just the fact that she went through what she did, chugged on, and, you know, found a new job, was raising me, had no issues with anything else. It's, you know, it's inspiring.
Sure. Yeah. Are you an only child?
No, I have an older sister.
Okay. But she had
graduated. So I was a sophomore. She was a senior. So she graduated that summer. We were moving. So she ended up, you know, moving away. She went to like Alaska for a bit, and then she came back. And I mean, now she's like whatever it is when you have your master's degree in nursing. So she's she's a master nurse. Yeah. No, she's very successful. My brother-in-law has his own construction and excavating company and stuff. So they still live in Sutherland. Pretty prominent people out there. And yeah, I mean,
that's cool. That's cool.
So, and my sister and I weren't all that tight during that time because she didn't take sides, but it was like she was with my dad and
I see,
and understood kind of that side where I didn't. I was like, yeah, screw you, Dad. And
was it that you just didn't understand it, or you just didn't want to understand this?
Maybe both.
The cheating thing, or whatever.
Could have been both. I didn't look at it like, in my eyes, you know, I'm 16.
Yeah.
In my eyes, I'm thinking like cheating's cheating, like And it wasn't like I was processing who you were cheating on Mom with or anything. It was more of, you broke up our family.
Right.
And, and you hurt my mom.
Yeah.
You know, so it was just one of those things that, and it took me, you know, going through life to understand, like, and you know, everybody says when we hire people, they've been through a lot of life choices or decisions, and you know, that person's probably a better fit based on the fact that they've been through a lot of these life experiences where that person's pretty green and they've never been hit in the mouth, and you know, stuff like that.
You get a kid who's fresh out of college or not even out of college, and he's 22, he's bright-eyed, but he's buff or whatever. Cool. Can you make it can he empathize with people? Can he have a conversation with somebody where they're gonna
so I was, like I said, I looked at it more as like he hurt my mom. Anyways, so, you know, and as a grown up, like you said, I played sports, and don't get me wrong, my mom and dad actually were at every game I played in, soccer, basketball, baseball, no matter what, no matter where, they both attended. And so I'm grateful for that. Never missed a game. You know, parents are, they're your biggest cheerleader. And I still remember it to this day, them always coming to my games. Probably my
even
mom,
when they were at odds with each other, huh?
Right. Probably my mom more than my dad, but I specifically remember them both being there.
Yeah.
You know, then I go into my senior year, and me and my best friend start getting recruited. I was getting recruited a little bit for soccer and basketball, and he was our best player. And he was getting heavily recruited. And I remember going through the process, and where he was ending up going, I never got a look.
Oh, really?
Which was a community college. And it didn't really bother me, but I was thinking, man, I really wanted to keep playing with him. And then my other friend, who was like our basketball team my senior year, we were pretty dominant. We ended up having 6 guys end up going to play college basketball somewhere.
Wow. Uh-huh.
So he ended up going to Umpqua Community College, and I ended up going to Lane Community College.
Mm.
So I ended up going up there for beginning of the fall term.
Right. And those of you guys that are listening, you might have heard Umpqua Community College before. There was a mass shooting, an active shooter incident up there. What year was that?
I think it was 2015 or 16.
Right. And that was a big one, and it was right in the middle of a lot of other stuff happening, and that was one of the ones that shook rural Oregon.
I actually think it was later than that.
But it shook rural Oregon pretty bad. But it showed that nobody is immune to that kind of stuff, and that was a lot of us in the area were saying, "What the heck? That happened here?"
Yeah, we were right. 2015.
Okay. So, anyways, so you went to Lane Community College, which is up north of there.
Yeah, as in Eugene.
Yeah, and he goes to Umpqua.
I ended up rooming with 2 of my other best friends, and then another good friend that I actually went to Riddle with.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up playing for U of O football because he was a massive dude. So that was kind of cool. You get all the perks of hanging out with a dude that plays for U of O.
Right.
At the time, it was Josh Wilcox and that squad, and it was like, holy cow, this is pretty sick. Like,
yeah, because he has a bunch of people coming at him. He's getting things thrown at him.
Oh yeah, and you get to hang out with him. You're like the little brother in the background, like, hey, let me in this party. It's like
the entourage.
Yeah. But it was pretty cool, and I'm doing my thing playing basketball, and I got a part-time job working at Sears, which was across the street from where I worked or lived. So we're staying busy, and I never was like a partier or anything. I drank and did whatever and that kind of stuff, but I never drank like to the point of, man, I'm passing out, or you know what I mean?
Right, blotto all the time or whatever.
Yeah, and I never was like that in college or anything, and so, and a lot of that was pretty much, I think, what I was instilled with my, my mom and Christianity and growing up, and I looked at it. I never wanted to disappoint certain people, and one of them was my mom, and then, like, the coaches that influenced me, I didn't want them to be like, that's pretty disappointing what you do. You know what I mean? So I was always I was straight laced, like as straight laced as anybody could be.
Uh-huh.
I was pretty straight laced, and I remember when I was in Eugene and I had to work. I was working at Sears, and and for anybody that knows me, I'm a pretty serious guy. Not really. I'm sarcastic, and I screw around.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and well, it came back to bite me in the ass, and I'm up there working in Sears, and at the time we work early morning hours because I was just part time, so I was shelving. Mm-hmm. I remember shelving paint. Mm-hmm. Paint comes in these boxes, and you had to take them out and shelve them. We were on a break, and I don't even remember what the premise of the conversation was, but there was like 3 or 4 of us back there taking a break, and we worked with a female. To this day, I don't even remember her name, but I was screwing around, and whatever the conversation was, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just take this box knife and cut you with it.
Uh-huh. And
I don't even remember, like I said, I don't remember what it was.
Right.
Well, I didn't think anything of it. I was screwing around.
Right.
I was joking.
There was no intent of actually cutting her up or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the next day, I get confronted by a couple of Springfield police officers asking me about this. I was like, yeah, I think I said that. I mean, I
it's possible. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I didn't deny it, but I was fairly certain, like, yeah, I did. I'm not going to deny anything. And so they handed me a ticket for menacing.
Wow.
And I was like, holy shit, like, this is for real now. So I ended up going to court, and basically the girl, she went home told her mom the story. And of course, this girl and her mom don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they felt like they needed to report it. And I'm like, okay, it is what it is. So I get this ticket, I go to court, and through the whole process, I ended up getting, which seems funny now because now it's like you probably get 60 hours of anger management. I had to do 10 hours of anger management class. I got $100 fine, and the misdemeanor was dropped to a violation. But I mean, I still have a menacing on my my record.
Yeah. And
I'm thinking, oh shit, because I'm going through college with the intent of becoming a police officer. Like that was my goal.
So the whole time.
Yeah. I didn't mention that. So in high school, I was an explorer for Sutherland Police.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of the guys now that are almost retired, I worked with when they were just police officers and
starting out,
doing their thing. So it's kind of cool. And now they make, they feel really old because I'm going on almost my 20th year, and they're like, oh shit, I'm almost out the door.
Right.
I remember you and you were climbing in my police car. But
yeah.
So yeah, that was my intent. I wanted to be a police officer. So then, I get this citation. I have to go to court. Technically, quote unquote, I got arrested because we know as police officers, you give somebody a citation for a criminal offense, it's still an arrest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I have to check boxes when I do applications or do whatever. Have you ever been arrested? Shit. Yes.
Yeah.
Then I have to explain it. So I go to court, and that's all done. Well, I ended up not getting along with the Lane Community College, and don't get me wrong, this didn't affect my schooling, my basketball playing or anything like that. Right. So I ended up not getting along with the Lane Community College basketball coach, who incidentally was probably one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time around here, at least in Oregon, Jim Butan. And he actually helped me transfer down to Umpqua. Oh. Which was a blessing because, and I was, I'm a faithful guy. And at the time, I remember praying, like, what is next now? I'm screwed.
Right. Yeah,
what do you got in store for me, God? And like I said, luckily he helped me transfer down to Umpqua, and I ended up getting to play with my best friend and my other good friend on the team, and I was a walk-on, which I was okay with. I still got something to do, and they were just starting a soccer team, so now I was getting to play soccer, so I was cool with it.
So was it a thing of like, it's probably best that you change environment?
Yeah, for sure.
And more healthy, because I mean, you had all your friends up there, but you obviously had the friends down south that you could go do whatever, but getting away from that whole thing of the arrest or whatever, could just change.
Yeah, and it did. And, a lot of perspective type stuff was coming into focus of, like, this is real now. Like, you're a friggin' adult, dipshit. Yeah. And so it was like, oh, crap. So I went back home and, to save money or whatever, it was a no-brainer. I moved back into my old bedroom, and I just went to school, which was, 10, 15 minutes down the road, playing basketball. Ended up getting a scholarship to play, which was, ironic in and of itself, because as soon as I got a scholarship, I think it was about 6 months later, they started taking scholarships away while I was low man on the totem pole.
Oh.
And I got my scholarship, and a couple of other guys got theirs taken away. So now I'm looking at schooling, and it's like, crap, what am I going to do? And I wasn't a moocher. Like, I'm not going to sit there and, suck off a teat for money from my parents to go to school. So I have no idea what it was. It was just one of those things in my head. I'm thinking, and again, I prayed. I'm like, what do I do? And I got called. I was driving by the recruiting office one day in Roseburg, and I went in there. And when you walk into the Roseburg recruiting office,
and you're talking military recruiter,
yeah. When you walk into the office, off to the right, the first one is the Marines. The second one's the Air Force. And I was like, there's no effing way I'm going to be a Marine. So I was like, into the Air Force one I went. And, well, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not tough enough. There's no way, because I've seen, you've seen Marines, and those guys are badass.
I've seen a couple.
Yeah, they're a bunch of pansies now, but but I looked to the right, and I was like, yeah, no. And I bet you if the Army was to the left, I would have been like, yeah, no, and I probably would have walked out the door.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't have, in my mind, joining the military, there was like one option. It was like the Air Force or the Coast Guard.
Oh, really?
Two of the easiest, probably,
easier
right?
ones. Well,
and this is no slight to anybody listening to this that are any of those, because I joined the Air Force.
Well, no, but what makes you think that you weren't tough enough or whatever that you?
It wasn't that I wasn't tough enough. In my head, I didn't think going to either one of those could fulfill what I wanted in like a job.
Oh, okay.
After the basic military training, because my dad was in the Army, so I got a lot of talk to about Army and military, and then I had a couple uncles that were in the Marines and what they did, and and there's no slight on our military, obviously, because I was in the military, but
right.
I know that if you're joining the Marines or the Armies, you're freaking working. You're working your ass off and you're fighting.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I didn't want to do was go fight per se.
As a kid, you're like, no, I want to.
I just want to give me my GI Bill.
Right.
That's what I wanted. And that's what because that's what drew my attention was the Montgomery GI Bill. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I don't have to pay for school. I can do 4 years in the military, get out and get my school paid for and I'll be good.
Right.
So anyways, I went into the military, the Air Force recruiter, and he talked to me, and they pump you up and you have to take the ASVAB, et cetera, et cetera. What do you want to do? Right. And I said, well, I want to do anything related to police work, whether it's bombs, missiles, MP, whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, in Air Force, it's security forces. But so I was, and that's what I told him. Well, I wasn't like a thin dude, never have been. So when I went in there, he's like, you have to cut like 15 pounds before you can join.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Nobody said this.
Yeah. Well, I ended up doing it, and I cut weight, and I ended up joining. And
well, how old are you at this point? 19, 20?
I am 20. Yeah, 20.
Yeah. And it's easier. I guess it's easier to cut weight at 20 than it would be to.
Oh, yeah. Shit, yeah, I can't do it now.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, I was 20. When I signed up, I was 19, but I had turned 20 by the time I went into the military. So I ended up leaving for basic training in 1997. And I went through, boot camp, which was totally easy. It's like,
pretty simple.
You guys want ice cream today, or what do you want today? Cone or dish?
Is the air conditioner okay for you guys? Because it's in Texas that you had to go, right?
Yeah, it was in Texas. It was in San Antonio is our basic, and then my tech school is what they call it, boot camp, or the other, your aftermath school was in Wichita Falls. So I stayed in Texas for however long, and so I did that. But man, I got to tell you, I loved the military.
Did you?
Oh yeah, I had such a blast, and I got lucky, and I feel like I got lucky because I never stopped playing sports.
Oh, so you get to play the Air Force leagues or whatever? Yeah,
well, I was actually on the Air Force team by the time I got out of boot camp and everything else. But my first 2 years duty station, I was in England. Mm-hmm. That was my first 2 years. So, I had it made. I joined what was called the base team, and you have to try out and get selected. Well, in England, our where I was stationed, our base was so small that we had to join other bases. Well, the other bases were huge. So now you're trying out against
you have some competition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, luckily I still had it, thank God, because I made the traveling basketball and slow pitch softball teams. So, I rarely worked, honestly.
And what was your job supposed to be?
Oh, I was a munitions guy. So basically we built bombs and missiles.
Right. But that's what you were trained for. But you played basketball. And
I played basketball and slow pitch softball for most of the time. Like you'd get, you know what TDY is, right? Temporary duty. So we'd get TDY orders from like a Thursday all the way until next Tuesday. And then I'd work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like, oh, you got orders to go play in Italy. Okay, see ya. So I got to travel the world to play basketball and slow pitch softball. And then, when the war with Afghanistan started, it was like, now you're back to the real world, sucker.
Yeah.
And
I want to go play basketball. No.
Yeah, no, they seized all that, and I had to start doing Operation Enduring Freedom, and mainly me, because there was only 2 guys on our jobs in our base that could drive semis with bombs, and I was one of them.
Oh,
so I was definitely not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Because where our munitions dump camp was, they call it, was an hour from where the flight line is. So I had to go to the base where the bombs were, get loaded with bombs and missiles, and then drive them an hour to the flight line.
So they can load them on the planes or whatever, and then then you drive an empty truck back, go get more?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I did that we did that, I think it was like 3 months straight at 16-hour days.
And that was that in Afghanistan?
No, that was in England.
In England. Oh, so
they would fly into England to pick up.
To load up, and then, okay.
And then off they went, because we had the largest flight line over in Europe, which is crazy because this base is so small, but it had the largest flight line.
That is weird, yeah. But, so you're, what year was that?
That was 98, 99.
98, 99.
Because I left in 99.
Okay, and so you're doing that. But you said you wanted to, from when you were a kid, you wanted to be a police officer.
Yeah.
Let's go back real quick. Where did that come from?
Being a police officer?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, having with my mom, working at City Hall and me always in there, and then seeing the police officers probably is what kickstarted it.
Yeah.
And I started doing ride-alongs before I was an explorer, and I was like, man, this shit's cool.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to calls, and I have no idea what they're going to, but, they're in a police car, they're going to calls.
Then they tell you stories maybe when they get back in the car. And
yeah. They don't tell you everything in between with the PTSD. And
right, the stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's probably where it started.
Okay.
My junior, senior year in high school, I was like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do.
That's cool. And so then you go through all that time, you go into the Air Force, you're in the Air Force, you're driving trucks with bombs and missiles and everything else, which is pretty cool anyways. You don't get to see a lot of, how often do we see bombs or missiles, but
I saw them all the time.
Right. And you get out in 99, right?
No, I leave to another base.
Okay.
I get transferred.
And
basically I was only over there for 2 years. And
okay.
Because in the Air Force you get to rotate.
Yeah.
That's called the short duty station or long duty station overseas type thing. So basically, I don't know if it was like this for you when you were in, but if you let them pick where they want you to go, the next base you get to go to, you pick.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because you get your dream sheet.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, I'd like to go to Italy or Alaska or whatever. I don't know. If want to go to Alaska.
And the way it was explained to us was like, hey, let us pick where you go. You get to pick where you want to go after that, after your first 2 years. And I was like, yeah, I don't care. I'll go overseas or I'll go wherever you guys put me. And they sent me to England, and I was like, well, I'll get to pick where I want to go next. Well, I knew I wasn't making this career. Like, that was my goal, was to do 4 years to get my GI Bill, to get out, to get my degree. Like, I had that focus set.
Right.
And I was taking military classes, college classes in the Air Force, because in the Air Force you can get your 2-year degree, community college of the Air Force. So I picked, I'm drawing a blank on the name, up in Washington, the Air Force Base up in Washington. It's next to Fort Lewis. And then the next closest one that had an opening was Edwards Air Force Base down in Lancaster, California, just outside of Bakersfield. Well, it's in the Mojave Desert.
Right.
Well, I ended up getting that one because the other one wasn't available. So I got transferred there in late 99.
McCord?
Yeah, McCord Air Force Base.
There you go.
Yep. And I ended up going there, and that one was really where I didn't work. Like, I made the base, I made the base basketball team, and then I made the regional traveling Air Force softball team, where they bring in like 5 or 6 bases regionally, and then you travel.
Well, so, down in Edwards, I mean, you're so close to LA.
Oh yeah,
and you're hitting all these other bases. There's a whole bunch of other bases within a 300-mile stretch.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so my first year there, I did not do anything but play sports. It was fantastic. Yeah. I was traveling throughout California, and we went over to Arizona and played a bunch, and yeah, I was living life. And then they tell you like, hey, by the way, you're getting deployed. Because they can do that.
Wait a minute. I don't know how to do anything but play basketball.
Yeah. So I ended up getting deployed to PSAB, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and I spent 6 months there.
Is this about 9/11? About the time of 9/11?
No, it was before.
Oh, okay.
Just before. I got out in February of 2001, and then 9/11 happened that September.
So you were still going to, we were still sending people to Iraq for just for kind of cleanup still from the 90s war?
Well, back then, you probably heard of it, Operation Northern and Southern Watch, right? Because you had bases in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and then Turkey to watch the no-fly zones and all that other stuff. And you know, that's a funny part. I used to tell people is like, you have no idea like what the military is like and what we do. And like I had top secret security clearance because I was working with the F-22 and the weapons we had with those. But like I would tell people, like we would send bombs and missiles out with these planes, and like we'd go kick back, have a cup of coffee, and then you know they're coming back in.
They don't have their bombs. And
they're empty,
anymore.
And everybody's like, look, guess we know what happened.
Oh, he must have dropped it somewhere. Or
yeah,
he
and they don't tell us, but
he gave it to somebody else.
We're not stupid.
Sure.
And that's why I used to tell people like they're shooting down other fighters and doing all this other. Nobody has any idea. But
right.
It was like the world has no clue as to what goes on out there.
Right. And all the stuff somebody's doing to keep them safe as they sleep at night.
Yeah, exactly. So I went there for 6 months. I actually went through an incident that gave me some PTSD later that thankful now I'm getting compensated for, but had no idea it would traumatize me as much as it did.
Oh, really?
Especially now in this police, doing police work.
Right.
Yeah. And so I do that. I go through the incident over there and I come back and I have like a month where I'm off, and they let you decompress. At least they do in the Air Force,
right? Yeah,
where you don't have to do anything. Well, I'm going to play sports, and so I got right back into it for about 40 days. And I remember my colonel coming to us and saying, "We need 18 volunteers to go to Turkey for the other operation." I think that one's Southern Watch, one of them, wherever Turkey is on the map. It's the Northern Watch or Southern Watch.
Oh, okay.
Because I just went to the other one. And he got 10 volunteers. And there's people that haven't gone. And then there was people like me that didn't work but went to the last one.
Right.
And nobody said anything to me. But I felt God was like, you need to step up. Yeah, you need to take one of these slots.
Do your part or whatever, yeah.
Because you're not working as it is, and people are looking at you like, does this guy even work? Like,
right, yeah.
So I did. I volunteered. And I had no issues with it, but I felt like, one of those things where I didn't want one of my friends to go that didn't want to go. And I felt I needed to, I did. I felt like I needed to step up and take my part. So I did. I ended up going, so basically my last year at Edwards, I was deployed. I spent 6 months in Saudi and 5 and change in Turkey.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't like it was bad, but it's war.
Sure.
And I did the same thing. The only difference with Turkey was, we stayed in air conditioned and heated tents, where in PSAB we were like in a hotel.
Right. Oh.
Yeah. So they both sucked, really.
Right. And so you were supporting the flight lines, and you were supporting those guys taking off, and you weren't necessarily on the front line with rifle.
No, we were just delivering the live munitions to the jets and the bombers.
Yeah, and I've heard that it takes, so every guy that on the front line, and this is I guess on the average, I don't know if this is exact, but every guy on the front line it takes 20 supply or support personnel. No, 10. 10 per individual supply or support individuals to support that frontline soldier. So whether that's bombs, whether that's food, whether that's logistics or...
Well, I could routinely, because fighter pilots and bombers, the pilots, they all have like their sidekicks and basically their co-pilots and stuff, but they're just their minions. And
squires.
Well, yeah, I mean they're enlisted dudes, like tech sergeants, so E7s and E6s that are at these captains and lieutenants beck and calls, and some of them are older than them, but so they have those guys that carry their gear and help them up into the jets and the planes and everything else, and then there's at least 3 of us that take the stuff out there, and then there's like 4 of them to load it,
right?
Because everybody's QCing everybody,
right? Yeah, because I mean you're dealing with
live munitions.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's standing back holding their ears, and it's like, don't let this go off. We're dead if it does thing.
It's totally going to,
But yeah, that would be pretty accurate. At least per jet, there's at least, 7-8 people that are supporting that.
And so that's just the jets and the fighters. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you take just the front line, let's say infantry guy. How many people are on the backside, signing a check?
Oh, yeah.
Because they got to get paid, making food, setting that up, bringing loads of stuff in.
Yep.
I mean, all the way around. So
yeah,
it's a gigantic machine that gets moving. But so that was Turkey, and Turkey was cool.
Yep. And then I got out. As soon as I got back, I was basically out. I had like a couple weeks, and I was doing my post-deployment paperwork and then my leave orders to separate, honorably discharge. And I remember I got out on February 4th, 2001, driving home in my Honda Accord from Edwards Air Force Base up to Oregon.
Yeah.
Nice little 12-hour jaunt. And I got out, and I went just a term at Umpqua. Never got my AA. I did some community college stuff, but my goal was, and I was set 30 something thousand. I think it ended up being like 32,000 I got for the Montgomery GI Bill. And I'm like, here I go. Like, I'm going now, I'm setting my path, and this is what I want to do. And I signed up for college at Western Oregon University. I did that term, and then I ended up hooking up with guys I was in high school with that ended up going up there as well. So we lived together, and I started my path towards my bachelor's degree in criminal justice. You had to have a minor at Western. I don't know if it's still like this today, but you had to have a minor. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's that got to do with anything? But they made you have a minor. So I chose psychology. So I'm in your head already.
Sure.
And I'm not like an artsy guy, so I definitely was doing like a Bachelor of Science.
Right.
In fact, I remember taking one class the very first fall I got up there, and it was like theater, and it was on the art side. And I'm like, somebody screwed up here. I'm not a thespian. I look around, and they're starting doing these artsy stuff and the theater stuff, and I'm like, yeah, because in college you get like a week to change courses, and I'm like, I'm changing this one. Like,
yeah,
well, they have you signed up for as a Bachelor's of Arts, and
I'm not wearing a leotard.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just, I can barely draw a stick figure. I'm not. Yeah. I am not an artsy guy, and so I went into the counselors, and they're like, yeah, they have you signed up as a Bachelor of Arts, and I'm like, that needs to be switched ASAP. Bachelor of Science, please. So I went to like Earth Science or something that I could at least recognize and connect with, because
tangible.
The arts thing's not mine. So I started taking classes in Monmouth Police Department.
Which is just there at Western.
It is Monmouth. Yeah.
So Western is in Monmouth. Okay.
One of their police officers came to one of our classes and said they were looking for reserves. Obviously, they were going to recruit out of a criminal justice class. They were looking for reserves, and so that was like one of the first week of classes, September, and that was 2001, and like right after 9/11. So he comes in and is like, hey, we're looking for reserves. Come pick up an app, go through the process. And I was like, well, shit, I know a lot right now as a police officer. Like, I've been on ride-alongs, right? I know what the hell I'm doing.
I know. I'll do your job. Yeah.
But so I went and picked up an app for a reserve police officer and then ended up getting hired as a reserve police officer in December of 2001. And I had done a couple ride-alongs up to that point, and I was like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then I get hired as a reserve, and I go through the Reserve Police Academy, and I'm just kind of fast-forwarding, spitballing. But I go through the Reserve Academy, and all the while, I'm doing work study with the Oregon Military Academy, which is on the base, to help with alleviate some, extra money.
Right.
And I get hired as a police officer. I go through the Reserve Police Academy, and then, they, just like regular police officers, they give you an EPTEP manual. You go through that with a police officer, and they check you off. And shit, next thing I know, I'm a solo police officer. Like
as a reserve?
As a solo reserve police officer. About 6 months in, and they're like, well, shit, good job. Do you want to take a shift? And I'm like, what? Hell yeah, I do.
I can get to that. You get paid for that?
No.
Oh, but it's still voluntary.
And then you had to work with an experienced police officer. You couldn't go out and take a shift from somebody. Right. You could go and supplement, be a backup.
Be there also and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay.
And you couldn't be primary on any calls. You'd have to be backup, but you can make traffic stops.
Oh.
And this is where my love of being a DUI officer came in. Because if I can't take calls, then what else am I going to do? I'm going to stop people, right?
Right.
So I became a solo reserve officer, and about probably 8 months, 9-10 months later, they offer me the job as the code enforcement guy.
Oh.
So I get paid.
Mm-hmm. You don't get traffic stops necessarily. Right?
I can, but obviously my focus is, abandoned autos, barking dogs, the code enforcement stuff, which was cool. Because then I didn't have to work at the Oregon Military Academy anymore. I can get paid at the police department, and I'm getting my hours in as a reserve like I should be.
So did they count your time as code enforcement as part of reserve time? So you got I was doing extra anyways now, right? Because that's what. And I'm always under the belief, I'm a big believer in people that put in the time and put their face out there all the time. Yeah.
That you're going to get noticed. Right. And, if something comes up, you're the one they're going to look at.
Right.
And I was a big believer in that. And so I was around all the time. I was working my butt off at school, but I was also showing my face around there to let them know, if something comes up here, I want the job.
Right, right.
So as I start doing more of this and getting into police work, I'm like, this shit is awesome. I love what I'm doing. And mind you, I haven't even done what they're doing, but I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And so I go into my counselor. I'm like, I want to be done with school. I want to get my degree. And they're like, well, this is what you have to do.
Right.
So they lay out what I have to do college credit wise. And I was like, all right, I'm doing it. My last 4 terms were 22, 23, 24, and 22 credits.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So that's not an easy.
No,
that's a ton of.
And I muscled through it, and I finished a 3.2. But this is where I think that I can remember where my memory started.
How old are you at this point?
24.
Okay.
Yeah. That would have been 24. 25 that winter. But
because I got a theory. I want to hear this, but I got a theory.
Well, I didn't buy any books.
Uh-huh.
I didn't buy one book those last 4 terms. And I just sat in class. I listened, didn't take notes. And I had the syllabus, and I knew what I had to do, and I got it done. But I remember sitting there one class, and I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to remember this? And I went back home, and it all just came back. And I started writing what I needed to as far as my paper goes. And I didn't have anything. I remember my roommate coming in and was like, how the hell are you doing that? I was like, I have no idea. And from that point on, I just started going to classes. I didn't buy any books. I'd pay attention. I would filter it in my mind what I needed to and go from there.
And you're grasping all the things that you...
Yeah.
and you're putting out the sluff, all the things that just
psychology classes, law enforcement classes.
And so here's go ahead. I'll get my theory here in a second.
Well, I didn't think at the time like it was a big deal to me, right? But looking back on it, when people always give me shit about how good my memory is, I'm thinking, God, I owe that to college, like, because it didn't start real like I remember when I started working. So just to fast forward, I finished college, I got my degree, and then I started applying out to everywhere because I want a job. And Monmouth didn't have any openings. So I keep getting denied because at the time in 2002, 2003-ish, police went through a change where everybody was retiring. It was like a cycle.
Okay.
Or people were lateraling.
Much like it is now.
Yeah. So everywhere I applied, laterals were always getting hired in front of me. I'm like, son of a bitch. And I had the experience, I had the military, I had the reserve, but I wasn't certified, as you know.
Yeah.
I don't have to get sent off to the police academy, or they don't have to get sent off to police academy if you're lateral, but I would.
Right.
And of course, if you're qualified and they want you and you're a lateral, they're going to take you over. So I kept getting passed up, finishing second and third on the list because people in front of me were laterals.
Yeah.
Monmouth ends up losing one of my good friends. She transfers to the Oregon Department of Justice. And then after that, another buddy of mine, he leaves to go work for Marion County. So they have openings now. The same day I got offered a job at Monmouth, Clackamas County Sheriff's Office calls me and says, we're offering you a job. Do you want it? So I had to come to Jesus, right?
Yeah, to go from nothing to you get all these options now.
And he was telling me, like, you need to stay. You know this area. You know everybody. You're a loyal dude.
Yeah.
They've hooked you up basically to the point you are now. So I ended up staying at Monmouth.
Yeah, they kind of molded you for that position. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I ended up staying at Monmouth, and I got hired there in 2003. And I didn't even have to go through EPTEP. Like, I just had to go through the academy.
Right. And then when you get out, you're right on the road.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
That means a blessing because I didn't have to go through all that crap.
And that's 2003?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, then I start working there. I worked there from 2003 to 2008. And I was only on the road 2 years. And when I was a reserve, I got to spend time on the dope team, the regional dope team there. So that's where my love for dope.
Do some leg work and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's where my love for dope work came in too. Because if they need an extra body on a buy walk or a buy bust or what have you, they'd ask me if I wanted to help. Yeah.
How big is that department?
Monmouth, there's about 15 officers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in between Monmouth, Independence, and Dallas.
And so they work all together, those three areas?
Well, you have your own separate in the city, but if they need backup, yeah, you can. They're there in a heartbeat, along with Polk County Sheriff's Office.
Right.
So we, after 2 years on patrol, they had an opening in the dope team, and it was like, they didn't even ask. They just put me in there because they knew.
Right.
Like, they knew I loved it. So I got hooked up to work on the dope team in 2005, and I worked on the dope team till I left in 2008. But that was, I remember doing my background for Grants Pass, and Ed Biscuit, Jim Brissett, did my background.
Yeah.
And he came and did my home visit with me and my wife.
Up in Monmouth?
No, where I live now.
Oh, okay.
And because I was home on a weekend, and of course, okay. Jim, he didn't want to drive all the way. He's like, "You gonna be home this weekend?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And he's like, "God, good thing. I'm just gonna drive my motorcycle to you." All right, whatever. I didn't know Jim at the time.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, "You're a bristly old man, aren't you?"
Oh, he is.
He's a 10. So he comes to do my background, and he's like, "You know what? All these people, they got one thing in common they say about you." And I'm thinking, oh, shit. Like, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
He's like, apparently you got some damn good memory or something. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, they all said that they could send you a picture or they can give a description and you'd rattle off somebody's name, date of birth, their social security number, what size shirt they wear and everything. I'm like, oh, I guess I can.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't, that's when it really dawned on me that people noticed that I had a good memory.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, huh, that's I didn't notice that. I'm like, I'm just trying to help. And yeah, I can, that's when I realized like, man, I guess I do have kind of a photographic memory when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. So. And so I'll go back really quick. My theory is as we grow up, we have this, as we're developing our brains and stuff like that. And they say that you're not fully developed until you're about 25, 24 years old. And so you're saying that when you were in school at about 24, it just kind of just clicked in like, okay, because it almost forced you to do it because you're taking so many credits at that point.
Right.
You started kicking in, and some switch inside your head now goes and clicks off and says, you know what? I have to do this. Let's get this going. And so whatever happened, whatever neuron decided to make its pathway said, this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll ask people on here, I'll say, hey, what was it in your career that kind of you noticed that was the big changer in how you perceive things, or was there a thing that you saw yourself, I'm maturing at this point? And I'm going to guess it was about that point that you saw that you may not, looking back, you say, okay, I think at that point when Brissette told me that, it was more of a respect thing. Like, man, I didn't even think anybody noticed that or cared because I didn't. Right.
But now they do. I'm like, oh, that's cool to be known for.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be known for that than that guy was such an asshole. Yeah, take him off our
right.
hands.
That guy
like,
farts all the time, stinks.
Yeah.
Take
him away from us.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that. And I had some good friends there, but you never really think about that stuff until somebody says something about you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one of those moments where, yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool to be known for. I'd rather be known for that than something else. You know what I mean? And I was a go-getter too, don't get me wrong. And I loved doing police work.
Right.
I loved being able to go out and making a difference.
Right.
Whether it was helping the lady that was next door to a barking dog, or taking some dope off the street, or getting an impaired driver off the road. That was I loved every facet of being a police officer. When you talk about like change and the way, like for me, the way I started perceiving things, I'll be honest, that didn't happen until probably 7 years ago.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
What I'm talking about is that point where you realize, oh, this is who I am. And this movement to being that person that you want to be, that you are, you wake up. Yeah.
And I think, at least this is the way I perceive it or look at it. I went through this career here at Grants Pass, and I remember I got interviewed by he's a retired lieutenant now, but I got interviewed by him, and he comes up to me after the interview before I get hired. Mm-hmm. And he tells me, he goes, you're a high-speed dude, I can tell. Like, you're going to fit in well here. Mm-hmm. But I got to tell you, there's more than just you here. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, there's a lot of Donis here.
Yeah.
So you, just to be aware, like, you're not going to be the only guy that's going to go out there and kick ass, and is basically what he was telling me. And I was like, huh, that's good. Right?
Yeah.
And that really resonated with me. And being a sports guy, you just said, here's competition, basically, is what he basically told me.
Right.
All right, bring it. So I progressed in my career here at Grants Pass, basically looking at how I needed to, if I wanted to go somewhere or be something, this is what I had to do. Mm-hmm. And my first couple years here, I was dominating Dewey arrests.
Right.
Legit Dewey arrests.
Right.
And because that was my niche. Dewey and dope. That was my thing.
Mm-hmm. And I guess warrants interspersed with those, but that was that was a lot of times your foot in the door with those things.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And that was me saying, this is what I'm capable of. Mm-hmm. This is what I like to do. And not knowing that's not all about police. Like, that's not police work. Like, that's not all you need to be doing as a police officer. But for me, that's what I looked at it like. Mm-hmm. And that's part of growing up and maturing as a cop. Because as I started progressing and getting promoted, and now, working as the sergeant of the dope team over the last 6 years, I don't look at it that way anymore. like I come out and I'll do overtime shifts and I'll take the overtime shifts.
Right.
Just because I want to stay sharp and I still love being,
being a cop. Yeah. Right.
And, making traffic stops and doing all that stuff. But I learned, 5-6 years ago, basically, right when I got on this dope team, that not everybody's assholes. Not everybody's an addict because they want to be.
Right.
Not everybody's a doper because that's what they want to be.
Right.
I learned really empathy and compassion to the highest level in this position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I don't look at, like when I arrest people or we arrest people and stuff now, I don't look for the end game a lot of the times. I go right to them and I'm like, how can I help you? How do you need help right now?
Right. Right.
And, it wasn't so much that I did that because I needed to. People were telling me, and it was unbeknownst to me. People like Archie were saying things, and I wasn't listening back at the time, but now I hear them. And it, and stuff that happened in my own personal life with my family made me realize too that addiction is real, and people don't choose to be addicts.
Right.
People don't choose to go take heroin and the fentanyl and everything else because they like it. They do it because they have to. They don't want to get dope sick. And, not to get on a political horse given today, but we just don't have enough resources for people. And if I'm able to help anybody because I have resources with the help of my team, that's what I'm trying to do now.
Right.
Along with, taking the head off the snake. And
right.
If I could do both of those, I'd do it. And that's like, I'm grateful I got to be on this narcotics task force and meet the people I do and stuff. But that's really what changed my opinion about how I treat people.
So, and I'm looking through it right now, and I'll find it here in a half second, but you are familiar with Janae that I've had on here.
Yes.
But you know of her, and we're looking at, gosh, man, what episode was that? Not even 40. Getting in the 30s, and I'll find the number here in a second. But episode like 30, 35 or something like that.
Yeah.
And she mentioned that same thing, that she'd been arrested, and she goes, she'd had no idea the world that she was in.
Yeah.
She had no idea. She just thought that's how things were. And it was actually your team.
Yes.
That had come and dealt with her and talked to her. And I actually talked to one of the guys on your team, and we'll keep him nameless right now, but he had mentioned to her, and she said that he said, like, he pointed a gun at her or whatever.
Yeah.
And I talked to him. He's like, I didn't point a gun at you. I just had a gun, but I wouldn't point it at you. But,
right.
But the thing that he said was, you like living like this. And that's indicative of your whole team, because I've met your whole team before, and the idea that you're going in there and you're trying to deal with these people, not so much that they can, that you're trying to get the dope off the street and get the arrest.
Right.
But you're trying to change lives and try to steer these people towards a different path, as opposed to living in some hovel or some filthy, rat-infested single wide.
Yeah.
Where they got a bunch of dope just stacked in the walls for the next sale.
Yeah. Janae is definitely a success story. And, her and I are actually, we're pretty tight. We talk still to this day.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And she is a survivor, and she's made it through, and she's awesome. She's, she got married. She's back in her life with her kids. She's doing awesome, and proud of her. and every time we see her, we hug, everybody on our team and take pictures when we can. But she's an example of someone that was at the lowest of lows and has now risen to probably her highest of highs, I would imagine. Right. And she's a success story, and it doesn't happen very often, but when you do, you got to celebrate them, and she's definitely one that we celebrate.
Right. And you and I had a conversation one time, because as I was getting in the
drug court coordinator,
when I was getting in drug court, and we had a conversation about when you get into that, these people, when they get clean, because the ones that do get clean and decide, hey, I'm going to change my life, they have to change their environment.
Yeah.
You can't maintain where you're at. You have to. Well, yes, you can. It's possible, I guess. But for the most part, if you really want to make that change, you need to change where you're at, and you have to change the city you live in or the people you're hanging out with.
And that's that's one of the quote unquote speeches I give to them is, if you really want to change and help yourself change, cut ties. Break ties from anybody you know. Start over somewhere else where nobody knows you, that you don't have to be hit up every time to say, hey, you got any dope? Hey, do you want any dope? And, I always tell them to stay off social media, but that doesn't work. But,
right.
But that's one of the things I tell them is you got to change. You got to change your environment. If you don't know if you don't have any ties here that you need to stay, go somewhere else, because Josephine County has a horrible recidivism rate. But yeah, that's one of the things I tell people.
I think that's normal for across the board, because, you see people, they'll get out of prison. Yeah. And while they're in, they'll have this, I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to go, they dive into the Bible, or they go to church or whatever. And then I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to try to make my family proud, and I'm going to get clean, because I'm clean now, however long I was in. And then as soon as they get out, they go right back to the people they've been hanging out with.
Exactly.
Because they have nowhere else to go, so they go back living at home or whatever. Yep. And so then, oh, hey, you're out. Hey, let's go. We're going to go party tonight. And you're like, and it's so difficult. It's not that they're weak. They haven't had that muscle exercise.
It's part of being an addict.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the big trick is to change your environment and move somewhere where it's easier to go be what's going to work for you. And this is something that I mentioned earlier in our conversation today, was you change your environment so you can focus on working what's going to work for you and get that thing. But like we were talking about Janae, she did not change her environment, and she's still a success story.
Yeah. She changed who she was hanging out with and communicating with, which was probably a big thing. But she was able to do it based on the fact that she was accepting the help and transforming, basically.
Right.
So
right. So you looked. Would you say that conversation? I guess just switching gears a little bit. That conversation you had with that lieutenant, was that your kind of a formative moment, in addition to maybe before, or was it?
I think that was, like I said, because I'm a competitor. I hate losing. I've been coaching high school basketball now, going on my 15th year, and youth sports for 15, 16, 17 years. And I instill into that, like, we like to win, right?
Right.
If we don't win, that's fine, but you better give everything you got if you're going to lose. Like, I don't mind losing to a better team, but don't lose to a team that's as equal or lesser than you because you're not giving it your all.
Right.
And so when that lieutenant told me that, it opened the door for me in my mind of, all right, competition's on, let's do it.
Right.
And if I lose, then I'll lose to another person, which in hindsight, it shouldn't even be a we're
and it's not a loss. We're still doing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Still doing a positive.
But in my mind, when he told me that, that's what automatically my brain switched to.
Right. Did, as you're going through that, did you feel like you were stepping on toes, or did you feel like you're getting in people's?
No, I mean, not at all.
Did anybody ever come to you and say, "Hey, man," or any of that stuff?
I did. Archie came to me.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a bad thing, but it was another life-changing thing. Were you at his retirement at the PD? I told this story.
Yeah, go ahead and tell that. Yeah,
when he came to me and said, "Listen, you're doing awesome work, and you're kicking ass out there, and I notice it. But here's the thing, everybody else notices it too. And the ones that don't like it, they're saying stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, let me put it to you this way. Because he knows I'm a Christian man.
Right.
Let me put it to you this way. There's a lot of devils out there. There's devils in this world that are trying to bring you down or step in your way because they think you're doing bad or wrong. And I didn't really understand what he meant at the time until I went home and processed it. And basically he was telling me, like, there's people, regardless of how well you're doing, that are going to rain on your parade because they're jealous.
Right.
Or they're upset.
Right.
So he basically gave me the, dad talk and didn't tell me to slow down or anything, but made me realize that maybe there is more things more important than going out there and arresting 4 Deweys a night or something. So.
Yeah. And I think that's just that's part of life. You're going to go through things and you're just doing what you're doing. And there's people that don't like it, like you said, jealousy or whatever. And it's that slings and arrows sort of thing that you have to be aware of.
And part of that was, not to cut you off, but part of that was too, when he told me that, it was during a transition too, where my wife was telling me, like, you work too fucking much. You're working way too much. You need to be home with your family. And before Archie was telling me this, and I'm still in the competitive mode.
Right.
She's not understanding why I'm in that competitive mode. And I'm like, can't explain it to her. And I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I need to work. And I'm going to grand juries 2 times a week on my days off. So I don't really have days off.
Right.
And, her and I had some arguments over it where I was like, no, I'm not. Like, that's part of my job. You knew what you're getting, he gave the old speech of, you knew what you were marrying into.
Right.
And that was also a time in my life where I was like, she's right. Like, I am married to this job and not her, and I can't do that.
Right. At what point what am I sacrificing, and what is the return on this one? So,
and it really helped me realize that she does know everything and I'm an idiot.
Yeah. And isn't that's funny that way, that we start looking at our significant others or whatever.
Yeah.
And we think, oh, you don't understand my job, and I'll come home and I'll tell you what I want you to know because it's sensitive information, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times they're looking up from the outside, and because they know us so well, they're like the outsider on the inside. And you can start sitting there saying, hey, you're not your normal self. We're missing this part of you. And they may not be psychology majors or whatever, but they understand that the toll that it can take not being with your family.
They see us every day.
Right.
Or attempt to.
Or they see the snaps that we have at the kids.
Right. Yep,
or
exactly.
Or, hey, you're not doing, you're not even here for Thanksgiving. You're working for that whole time. How come we're missing out? And how come these criminals or whoever get your time and we don't?
Yeah. No, that's spot on. And I remember having, several of those arguments and talks, if you will, and me having to look inward, like, time to buck up, dude. Like, you need to not go to work. You need to not answer your phone. You need to not be at work while you're at home. And I thank my wife for, basically opening my eyes to that. And then transforming per se into being more of a family guy, and needed to be a family guy, and being around my family more. And that was part of the reason, because in my head I was thinking, well, I'm still coaching, youth sports and my son and his kid or his friends. And what's the problem here?
Right.
Well, that's pretty much what I was doing. I was home coaching work. And, I didn't really take the time to integrate family into that.
So like those little trips to whatever.
Yeah. So now I'm grateful that, like I said, she's turned me around basically when it came to work and stuff. And that was 7, 8, 9 years ago. So,
yeah. And I don't think that we give, and I've mentioned this before, I don't think we give spouses, the ones that stick around.
Oh, hell yeah.
Enough because they have to deal with all the crap that we have to do. We come home buried in sludge of whatever kind, and that stuff starts dripping off. they're either cleaning it up or they're helping clean us off. And we don't realize it. We don't know what, you know, and they're trimming this little fringe off here and there just by being who they are. And then they have to, where's their outlet? How do they, because we come home stressed out or struggling from, you know, we saw a dead baby or we saw some kind of mangled car wreck or, you know, whatever the case may be. Or you just see a horrible lifestyle and you see these people, you know, DHS or whoever comes in and takes kids and tears families apart and stuff like that. And not because DHS wants to do that, but it's not healthy for those kids to be in that place. And you just see the anguish that kids have or other people have because of the choices they made in life. That all stuff now translates to me, which now I'm bringing it home.
Yep.
And I just want to go to sleep or I just want to get a meal and I want to watch the game or something.
Decompress. And
she's like, I need you to be present.
Yep.
And I need the person that I married, and where's that person? And how is it? She obviously had that conversation with you. How is that reconciled with you? Is that one of those things that you really had to do a lot of introspection and say, I'm okay, I'm going to do this, or I've listened to you enough? Did she have enough of a relationship and a voice in your life to really wake you up?
Oh yeah. It was, a lot of it was communication, right? Where I would be selfish and make choices or decisions regarding work and then come back and say, this is what I'm doing, rather than communicate ahead of time and say, hey, I'm planning to do this. Does it conflict with anything?
Right.
I never did that. I was always a me guy when it came to that. And then she, you know, pointed out gingerly that you're a dick. Like, look what you did. and it was like, shit, she's right. Damn it. I don't want to tell her that, but she knows she is, and I know she is. So what has happened now over the last probably, 7, 8, 9, 10 years is I do communicate with her. Hey, here's the plan. Do we have any issues? If we do, I'm not doing it.
Right.
And, I came to the point too, when I got on the dope team, that my work phone gets turned off when I go. Like when I walk in the door, I turn my work phone off.
And everybody knows it. Like, oh, hey, he's turned his phone off. We're not going to. He's at home now.
When I'm on call,
I mean, obviously,
people have to call my personal phone because I'm not going to. And a lot of that has to do with informants or people that complain to the dope team or raid that I have this and here, call my cell phone if this person, So I just turn that stuff off, and because I'd be answering all day and night if I did, that was part of my thing. Like, so I don't work when I'm home. I turn my work phone off. I just have my personal, so only police officers, essentially, if they need me, can call me. And then the communication part, with the spouse definitely helps.
Yeah, and it's rare, and I've mentioned this before, to find a spouse in our case, a woman that understands that side of it.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, there's female officers that do the same thing, that find that male spouse, obviously, but that idea that you find, I mean, I guess across the board, you find that spouse who is going to be supportive, understands what you're going through because you've had enough conversations, but is also supportive. Like, hey, I have to go right now. It's hitting the fan, or we've got this information that we've been working on. I have to go right now.
Yeah. And
they say, okay, here, let me pack you a sandwich or whatever while you're getting ready, and you can get out the door.
It's usually love you, be safe.
Yeah.
Call me or text me when you can.
Yep. And
that's kind of the understanding now.
And when it's all done, they're satisfied for the time being with hey, it's all safe, everything's okay, nobody's hurt. I'll be coming home after a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, she's been nothing but showed me grace and mercy over this last decade, essentially. Right. And I'm grateful. Obviously, she's in my life, and she's part of my life, and because she's definitely stronger than I am, internally and externally, and and I thank God every day that she was brought into my life 14 and a half years ago. So.
Right, because it would be, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people on here who have, or in general, that just, oh yeah, we got divorced, or she didn't understand it or whatever. And so there's just a rare breed that gets it, and they're in the police world, or the firefighter world or whatever, but they're not there. They don't do it. And then so they go to work, they go to do their jobs, and then somebody starts talking trash or whatever about cops or whatever, and they get so heated because that's theirs. Yep. They've done so much fighting for it. I mean, sometimes more than we do ourselves. Yeah, they'll go do the fighting for it, and I'm not talking they're duking it out in a back alley somewhere, right? But I mean, they fought for us in our houses. They fought, to make sure things are held together, and then they go into they have to try to control their emotions during this conversation they have with somebody on the outside.
Well, yeah, and then who's the head of the household essentially when we're not there? It's them, and they're handling the kids' stuff and making the dinners and doing whatever.
Yeah, setting up the practices and going to get them games.
And not taking stuff for granted or being ungrateful, to me, is a huge thing, which I took advantage of for quite some time until, basically she didn't slap me, but slapped me and was like, hey, look what you're doing, jerk. So it's really been, man, what a life. Jeez. No, but, I'm blessed. I'm glad that I have people in my life that I do. I know that at any given time I can go and talk to anybody at the police department that I'm close with. I wouldn't have any issues opening up to, Mike, Todd.
Yeah, it's people you've developed relationships with, because that's I think that's what's important, and that's how we work without having to be able to start saying, I outrank you and you will do this. Yeah. Somebody just says, hey, can we get this done? Oh, yeah. Why? Yeah. Because you've developed that relationship and you trust them enough to be able to say, hey, they want the best for me and for the mission in general. Yeah. So, and I remember I want to go back really quick. When you were on patrol, you were running a shift and everything like that. And then you got the word that you were going to go to the dope team. Yeah. And were you jonesing so much right there? Like, I can't wait to get out of a uniform on the daily.
No, I mean, I was excited for the new quote unquote adventure, because I worked on a dope team before as a detective. I wasn't in charge. Now I'm a supervisor, and, I'm supervising the day-to-day ops of 2 guys from OSP, a guy from probation, and then our own guy from city. So that was different. I mean, to this day, I still say, like, if they told me you're out, put on a uniform, back to patrol, I'd be like, okay. Right. Like, I don't know. I just love this job so much as far as what we do and how we do it, that I'm grateful that, we get paid what we do. We're getting taken care of. That to say I was jonesing at that time, probably not jonesing, but I was excited for sure. Yeah. Everybody knew I was good at dope work. And, right. I knew my search and seizure. I knew case law. And so I was very comfortable and ready. If that would be my best way to describe it. Yeah. And I probably had some anxiety, obviously, but no, I was excited for sure.
And which is, that's how it should be. Yeah. When you get into, like, I'm looking forward to doing this. Yeah. It's the ambivalence, they're like, whatever. That's where you have to kind of take a look at sort of things, Right. And you can tell somebody's that way. I think it's not so much, I mean, they might be saying, oh yeah, it's all cool. But you see them, like, yeah. And bouncing or whatever.
Just kind of segue into, like, when I was an FTO, I told you this. Yeah. I know I have. But I tell people to this day, like, it doesn't matter where you work, like city, agency, and what you do. It's all what you make of it. Right. If you want to be bored and be complacent during the shift, then that's what you're doing. Like, you're making it that way. Right. If you want to be proactive and go out there and stop people, stop cars, and, like, be proactive outside of calls, then that's what you're making of it. Right. And I remember my first sergeant, who was one of my best supervisors ever from Monmouth, who is now retired, God bless him. Paige Macbeth told me that you're in Monmouth, Oregon, working in Monmouth. Be grateful you're a police officer helping the citizens of this community, but also remember it's what you make of it. Right. And that resonated with me. Like, he's right. Like, I can go out and be bored at 2 a.m. at Monmouth PD and not do anything, or I can go out and look for impaired drivers. And that's kind of what started me doing that. Right. To me, and that's what I say to people. It's like, it's all what you make of it. quit bitching. You can only control what you can control. And I often say that when I coach my kids, like, you can't control what that person's going to do. You control what you're going to do and your reactions and how you react when you go back onto the field or the court. You can only control what you can control. If you can't control what admin's doing, why worry about it?
Right.
Take what you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do, and move on. Right? Control what you can control. Control how you're going to react when a younger officer sees you and how you react.
Right.
What are they going to say?
Right.
And that's what I always tell people. And I try to live that way. Like, I can't control outside influences or what other people are going to do. Will I have an opinion on it? Sure. I can have my opinion on it, and I can voice that opinion to people I know where I can voice it. But if I can't control it, I'm not going to worry about it. And I try to live that in my daily life too. Like,
and if it does bother you, you don't let it bother you very long, or you don't let it really eat at you.
Yeah, exactly. I can't control, even in my personal life, I can't control some people. My kids, I can't control them. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
If I can help them and educate them, I'll do it. But, life's all about decisions and choices. If they're going to make those choices and decisions, then they're going to have to either A, figure out what to do after that, or live with it and deal with it.
Right.
But it's all how you respond after those choices and decisions is what's going to matter, not what you chose.
Exactly. So. And I think a lot of people forget that. I think we're like, oh, you pissed me off. Okay, well, sure, they did something to piss you off, but what's your reaction to it? How are you going to do it? Because, like you said, you can only control yourself. And this is what I tell people all the time. You see people, they've offended me. Let's go with that one, right? Yeah. Well, did you let it get to you? Yeah, they might have said something. They talked about you or whatever. I mean, people call me short all the time. You're one of them, but but it doesn't. Yeah. But it doesn't. There was a point when it bothered me. But it doesn't bother me anymore. I could care less, or I couldn't care less. I mean, it doesn't. It has no bearing. There's nothing I'm going to do about it. There's nothing I can do to change it. I can wear Herman Munster shoes, but that's not going to fix anything.
Right.
And so, you just live with it, and then you realize where it's coming from. Is it a friend of yours having a good time with you, somebody that you trust and you have a relationship with, or is it someone that we talked about before that's throwing those slings and arrows? That is jealous at you, that is throwing that at you, and they're trying to get that under your skin. And then you have to realize for what it is. Are you focusing on this too much? Move on. And you and I have had conversations at that very thing where is this really, going back to our beginning of this podcast, is it worth the upsettedness that you're going through?
Yeah.
Is it all that? And you are better than that.
Yeah.
Than to let it eat at you.
Yeah, you and I had some good conversations.
So, and obviously we're talking about stuff that's we're not going to talk about on here. We have some things that obviously, if you want to know more about us, you're not going to find out about us unless you know us per se. But it's a good thing to know that, the people that are out there in the middle of the night fighting for you or trying to keep your neighborhoods clean or your community safe or whatever, they have their internal drama, but they also have their brotherhood, they have their sisterhood, they have this thing that they're looking out for each other, because if they don't have each other looking out for them, they're on their own, and you're not going to do anything on your own. You're not going to be able to really accomplish a lot on your own if you don't have good people around you that are supporting you. And once again, if it takes 10 logistical soldiers to help one soldier on the front line, how many logistical people is it taking to get that one police officer out the door to come to your house and, keep your family alive or safe or get the dope off the street or doing whatever. So you got to think of the grand scheme of everything. So it's kind of, I know we're running up to the clock on this one, and I know it's not been a very extremely long one, and I think there's a ton of things we can go into more. But like I said, if those of you guys that don't know, we got up. It is the middle of the night here where we are because of just the way that our schedules go. We've been trying to put this one together for a while, and it just because of schedules, because of work, we hadn't been able to. So what we've done is that we got up in the middle of the night to record this episode just for you guys, because it's a good one, and I don't mind getting up. And Doni even said, "Hey, I get up early anyway." So how early is early? Well, it was not 4 o'clock when we got up. It was long before that. So middle of the night. Nevertheless, we are here for you guys to keep this information going and know that I want to keep putting it out to you. So if you do want to find out more, you don't have any like social media or anything like that, do you? I mean, you don't have anything other than personal stuff.
Oh yeah, no.
Are you ever going to write a book?
No, I'm not an artsy guy, remember?
Yeah, but I mean, you could still write a book.
If somebody wants to dictate it for me, sure.
Yeah, I've met some dumb people. No, I'm just kidding. They're not, but they're like, I'm not a writer, and they've written books. I mean, they're like, wow, because they have somebody that is able to help put it together.
Yeah, no.
But you have some stories that you can really throw into.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
and it's like
we all do.
It's amazing that the stuff that you can put out there to maybe help somebody get clean or get off dope or whatever. And
yeah, I mean, you write a book, you said, but I'm more of a in your face person type guy. Like,
sure,
I'll tell you
and
I'll help you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's a lot more important people in the world than me to have to write a book.
Sure. I planted that seed. You're going to think about it now.
No. I'm not an artsy guy.
When your wife hears this, she's going to be like, oh my gosh, she's got so many stories. We're going to... Yeah. So you're not going to necessarily find Doni on social media or anything like that, but you can find us on social media. You can find us on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And you can find us on the What's a Hero podcast.buzzsprout.com, where you can find all of our previous episodes and links to whatever podcast platform you like to listen to from. You can go into those, whether it's iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Amazon. Go in there, subscribe to it. They'll let you know when we've got the next one in, and then leave a comment. Tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and because I know that I'm doing some stuff wrong, and what you'd like to hear. And I've got a couple people that have said, hey, how about doing this? And so I've got a couple good folks lined up that I think would be good. But aside from that, I do want to say thank you to everybody. And we mentioned it today that people that go out and do all this work are firefighters, are EMTs, nurses and teachers, our veterans, and our police officers. You guys, you go out and you do all this work and you keep us safe, and we don't even know about it sometimes. And you talked about, the war that we were in before we were in war, before September 11th, and we didn't even know about it. So the people that are out there in the middle of the night that are keeping us safe while we're sleeping, thank you guys so much. We have so much appreciation for you, and I can't say enough to show our appreciation for that. So,
agreed.
Doni, you got any final words you want to give to everybody as kind of a send off, or anything we didn't cover?
Well, first, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
It's one of my good friends and someone that basically steered your career.
That's right. Sure.
No. When you first started this, I was like a proud dad. I was like, man, I didn't, and like when I walked in today and I see your drum set, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were like Guns N' Roses. But
that's more Neil Peart, Mike Portnoy, I'd say.
Yeah, those guys. I have no idea who they are. I'm not artsy, remember? And but when you started this podcast, I was super proud of you, and I was like, that's freaking cool. Like, for somebody to take the time out to do what you do, and talk to all facets of people, I think is pretty cool. And I've obviously listened to your podcast, and I listen to people you have on here, because you learn and you hear genuinity from people.
Oh yeah,
that I've listened to, guys that I've known for years that you've had on here, and it just reiterates, some of my feelings I have for them, and obviously you. But to be able to have this platform, because I'm not going to lie, and I don't know if anybody said it, but like for me, this stuff is like talking to, I don't want to say a psychiatrist, but it's like, guys don't like me don't do this a lot. They don't open up, and people don't know them unless they have this type of platform per se.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, it's great for us.
Yeah. And
in this career field,
I had talked to a guy, Cece. He was a Marine, and he did his was really good. And, he mentioned, he goes, "Hey, thanks for letting me get in there and just it was almost like a session, with a psychiatrist, where he's just like, I got to unload a bunch of stuff, and it was just really cathartic almost."
Oh yeah, for sure. And, I've been through some of those psychology sessions because of shootings and critical incidences and that kind of stuff. And I would say this is, similar, but it's not exactly the same, but it's definitely similar. And, for guys like me that don't open up to other people and they know who people think they know you. Right. These type of platforms and situations are good for people to understand, like, I guess people like me. Like I wouldn't have a problem if we were off mic and you and I, BS'd or,
right.
I know I can go to anybody at the PD per se and sit down and have a chat with them. But, a lot of them don't know, quote unquote, my story or, and to be honest, that's not even half of it, but it's nice to be able to have someone like you in our lives that, give us this opportunity to say things. And excuse me, I'm grateful. I know you and I know the people I do, and I work where I work, and, I'm alive and breathing because of the Lord Jesus Christ, and, and I have my family and my vices, which are sports.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I just bowled last night in my bowling league, so.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a 185 average. Don't worry about it.
I'm not worried. It's good. So you're bowling, and you get to do your, because you do, obviously you do fantasy football. You still coaching basketball and stuff like that? Just finished coaching soccer. Now I'm heading into basketball season, and then baseball season will start in the spring. So so that's awesome, man. Yeah. You just keep going. So, well, yeah, thank you for coming on. I mean, I consider it an honor that you did come on here, and it's, I think really highly of you. And, like you said, I consider you one of my good friends, and I enjoy being able to unload, unpack some baggage with you sometimes. Yeah. And it's just something that you need to do. Oh yeah. For sure. You get that off your chest, and you open up and you say, hey, this is heavy and I just need to get rid of it. And you and I had a conversation last year where I just vomited on your desk, of garbage that was coming in. And so, yeah. And cause that's what I was, earlier, that's what I was speaking about with you and I was, you were going through some things and I could see it and I knew, and it was affecting you. Yeah. And I knew you. Yeah. And I was like, I remember, I was telling you, like, don't let it. Right. If you need to, let it go. Mm-hmm. You're still going to be who you are, and that's all that matters. Yeah. And screw whatever the title and whatever else it is. Right. You're way better than that. Yeah. And so I've done that, that, and you move on. And you say, okay, well, life is, that's a moment in time. And so, but I appreciate that you're there, and I appreciate that you've been able to come on here and tell portions of your story to kind of get the gist of somebody that goes out there on the daily, adjust your schedule like you do, so you can help keep people safe, even though we're up against, legislature and politics and everything else. Yeah. You're still facing it, and you still go and do whatever we can do to keep people safe and healthy. Yeah. So it's cool. So, well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah. So let me finish with this. It's what I started with. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, and nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you are because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. So for Doni, I've been Ken Frownfelter, and this has been the What's a Hero podcast. We are clear.